Social psychologists say that we have less than 7 seconds to make a first impression with anybody that we meet. And from that first impression, it will last more than 9 months typically. So the power of first impressions is incredibly, incredibly important. So how does this show up and what does it mean for your fitness business? The first impression, a lot of times, is going to come from the trial workout experience. That's how we intro a lot of clients at scale across 8 locations. Is we invite people in for a trial session that they get to experience the product, and we talk about signing up as a member afterwards. So I want to show you how we use the trial experience to make an amazing first impression, build immense amounts of value that allows us to charge a super high ticket for memberships and gets a high rate of conversions, around 80%, and gets long-term members. So this is the world's greatest trial experience that you can install in your gym. So let me preface with, I am a certified hypnosis expert. So I learned the hypnotic techniques. I don't use it a lot, but a huge amount of what you learn getting trained in hypnosis is used in daily conversation and daily behavior. They call it covert hypnosis or conversational hypnosis. So some of the things that you're going to hear and that we've installed as a system in my business comes from the hypnosis world. And it's not unethical. I mean, it really is just ways to become more memorable and build trust a little bit faster than not knowing these tactics. So I'm going to reference some of it, and I just want to give you a background in my training in that and how you can utilize this pretty easily in your business. So let's talk the trial experience. It always starts on the confirmation. So when we get on the phone with somebody, we talk to them, we pre-qualify them on what we do, what they need, and how much it's going to cost. It's very important you do that before the trial. Then they get a confirmation. We have a whole confirmation series of texts and emails, but a really important part of the confirmation series is we send a photo of a shaker cup, not this exact cup, but it's a Gage Strength Training or Engage shaker cup. And we actually had custom tags made for the shaker cups. So we put the custom tags on here, and the tags have a place for the person's name. So we write the person's name on them, and it says, if their name is Matt, I'm going to write Matt on the front. It says a welcome gift for Matt. And underneath it has vanilla, chocolate, or other. And so how do I use this? So whenever a trial is confirmed, the day before the trial, I'm going to write their name on the shaker cup that I'm going to give them. And I'm going to take a photo of the tag that says the person's name, so they know it's impossible for this to be faked or automated. There are tools that you can use to do that, but I don't recommend it, especially if you're a growing business. It's worth the effort. You're going to take a photo of that tag and you say, hey, Matt, I've got a little gift for you for tomorrow. Just one question. We always give out a free protein sample. Do you want vanilla, chocolate, or cinnamon bun as another flavor? The reason we ask that, one, they have a sense of reciprocity. So now they feel a little bit of guilt because we went through the effort of writing their name on the tag. So they feel a little bit indebted to us to actually show up. Number 2 is it's a question that is built for a reply. So asking what flavor is not, do you want one? Yes or no? Or, hey, I got you a protein sample. It's, hey, do you want vanilla, chocolate, or blank? That engagement is going to, cognitively get them to be more bought in on showing up or build anticipation. So that's the pre-trial. You're getting them to feel just more inclined or more excited to show up, and like they have to show up a little bit more because you went through all this effort of putting their name on the shaker cup, which now is completely trashed without them showing up and getting it. So that's the number 1 thing. The next is the first experience. So when they walk in, you want to welcome them with open body language. So like I said, you have 7 seconds to build a first impression. And actually the way we process information, everything that comes in through the visual cortex goes through kind of the limbic system and that primitive aspect of the brain first. And that's where it's processed before anything else at all. So that's like a gut instinct that hits us before we really process what's happening. So the most important thing about that is that you have really open and positive body language. Most importantly is that you're showing your hands. Why is that important? So primitively, if somebody's hands were hidden, that would send a red flag or an alert system because they could have a weapon, they could have a balled fist. There's some lack of trust that gets triggered when we don't see somebody's hands. And a little aside here is if you look at any religious figure, any depiction of a religious figure at all, they almost always have their hands and palms up showing in the image. There's the Hindu god, it's like somebody with like a million different hands. Jesus is usually depicted with his hand up like this. Almost every religion has the most popular image with the figure holding their hands up. And it's because even back then, they knew there was something about the hands that elicited trust and respect. Not respect, but more trust than anything. So the next thing about body language is just you are open, right? You don't have your arms crossed, you don't have your legs crossed, and you're not hiding behind any barriers. So similar to the hands, we have these mirror neurons that if I see you standing with open body language, I can see your hands and you're exposing any vulnerable areas of your body, I know that I can trust you because you aren't afraid of me. So that just kind of means that we are not enemies here. All right. So open body language, being able to show your hands. Sometimes that just looks like a wave or, I'll kind of just do this like, hey, nice to meet you. And then I'll shake their hand. All right. So that's how you can get, even before they really process what's going on, the first little trust builder. All right. Now, I know that this is so important because there was a really famous study that was done where they had students watch a muted video of a professor teaching for 5 seconds. So they were just able to watch their body language for 5 seconds with no audio. And then they had all those same students, so they had them rate the effectiveness or how much they liked that professor. And then they had them go about and took the guy's class for the rest of that semester. And what they found was the rating they gave the professor after that muted 5-second clip was pretty much the way they felt about that professor for the whole semester. So just emphasizes the importance of your body language, and the first impression that people get for you generally stays for a long, long time. It's very hard to overcome a bad first impression, especially one that's like a gut instinct because, you were hiding behind a barrier, you didn't show your hands. That gut impression, can kind of rub people the wrong way to a point they don't even realize what's happening. So the next thing is your first initial interaction. So likability is typically spurred by novelty. So if you want to be remembered more, novelty is really powerful. So there's a study with OkCupid, the dating site, where they measured the introduction that got the highest open rates. And the introduction that got the highest open rates was the word howdy. So they illustrated the effectiveness of a novelty greeting or some sort of novelty that sparks dopamine in the prospect's mind. So if they walk in and you greet them with something slightly outside of the norm or a different way to greet somebody, that is going to almost act as like a pattern interrupt. So having a greeting that's maybe slightly outside the norm, maybe they're not expecting it, maybe you do something kind of silly, is very effective for really going deeper into that first impression and building more trust. So one way that I used to use this is when I would meet with clients, and this wasn't exactly the first impression. When I would meet with clients and I would have them do a one-on-one consult, I had a pen that had a Mickey Mouse, little like frilly pen thing on the top. And I would always ask them like, oh, can you just grab me that pen? And they would look at it and they would laugh. And it was always just that little dopamine spark that completely changed the vibe and the tension in the room. And it lowered their defense mechanisms. And I mentioned hypnosis before. This is actually something from the world of hypnosis and hypnotic techniques called a pattern interrupt, where it kind of switches the brain out of its normal pattern and it gives you the chance to redirect their attention. And that's a hypnosis secret. So moving on. So we've got open body language. We've got a novel greeting that's going to be a little bit outside the norm, acts as a pattern interrupt. Now, what you want to do, and is another hypnotic technique, is what is called stacking realities. So building trust is immensely important. So you do that by understanding this. So whenever people receive information, it goes through the visual cortex, and you want to almost imagine they've got like a little person that receives it and runs the information back to a filing cabinet. And they look for anything else that is like that information, and they reference it. Like, is this safe or is this bad? Is this, is this okay or is this not okay? So that's how people develop rapport and trust. It's a very that visual is really accurate in a way that they reference whatever they're experiencing with previous experiences. That's kind of how the mind works. Hey guys, real quick, let me hit pause for a second. If you're enjoying this content, I encourage you to please subscribe, like, and share this content with any fitness professionals that you think it may benefit. I really appreciate it. It does a lot for the channel and the impact that we're trying to make on the industry. So thank you. Let's get back to it. So what is stacking realities? Stacking realities is a way to build trust without, doing anything, super technical, where you walk them into the room and you want to point out 3 things that are objectively and verifiably true. And you just want to make those statements. So you would walk in, and I'll just use my gym for an example, and I'll say, all right, so here we are. You'll see the training floor is right ahead of you. You'll see the bathroom right here. And you'll see we have cubbies right here that you can leave your stuff. All right. So take note of the way I said that. You'll see the training floor up here. They look, they see the training floor, and they say, yep, I see the training floor there. You'll see a bathroom right here. They look, yep, there is a bathroom there. And you'll see cubbies right here where you can leave your things. They say, yes, there are cubbies there. These are, the other word for this is called creating a yes set. That little man inside their brain that takes a piece of information and runs it and verifies that it's true and safe is now saying, okay, I trust this person because they just said 3 things that I see as completely verifiable and true. So whatever they say next is probably true too. So this is a conversational hypnosis technique that we use in the first minute of the trial. So all this, we're going long on this podcast, but all this is happening in the first 30 seconds of meeting somebody. You go up, open body language, novelty greeting, and you say, hey, thanks for coming in. You can see the training floor here, cubbies here, bathroom here. Every time you come in from here on out, you'll, be able to leave your stuff here. Now note what I just did. I just got them to be convinced that everything that I say is true, that I am a trustworthy individual. And the last thing that I said was, now every time you come in from here on out, this is where you'll leave your stuff. So in their head, they're already picturing themselves in the future coming in and day out. So in NLP and hypnosis, they call this pacing and leading. And it's a really powerful conversational technique that can instantly build rapport and trust. So that's kind of the opening. You're going to start the workout. The biggest thing is you remove any sort of anticipation or friction points, right? Nobody should ever stumble upon a bad experience, okay? Now, what do I mean by that? So you want to anticipate any single thing that they could see as bad or wrong or not good. So we run small group personal training. We allow up to 8 people per session. That means that at some point, they will not be working directly with a trainer. That's a negative experience that they could have if you don't get ahead of that. So when you start the workout, you just want to go up to them and say, hey, listen, we're going to run you through a series of movements as your assessment. If you ever see me step away, don't worry, I'm just helping them and I'll be right back. Okay. So you never want them to stumble upon a bad experience. You always want to get ahead of it by explaining why it might happen. So if there's ever a period where they're standing around, where they may be confused or not know what to do, you want to use that and get ahead of that early on in the session. Okay, so we always do that. We have a few things that for us might happen, like they may be standing around, they may not know what to do, and then as another part of that, we always try to introduce them to somebody in the session. So, I would sit them down next to somebody or pair them with somebody that is probably close to their demographic or background. And I would say, oh, hey, Cheryl, remember your first time? This is Betty's, first time in the gym. Make sure you show her the ropes, right? So now I'm creating some friendships, some mutual bonds, and a chance for them to see that there are other people like them, right? So this is all in the first few minutes of the experience. Now we want to get into the workout. What's most important is that the whole time that you are running them through the workout or the assessment or whatever process you have, you're using future language. So you're using things like, oh yeah, every time you're in here, you'll just grab a kettlebell or a band and do that. Or, the next time you're in, we'll have a new program for you because this is just the assessment. So always kind of take the assumptive approach that they're there, that you're building, a long-term relationship to them, right? So it can show up in a million different ways. You do this for the entirety of the workout, where you're just saying constantly oh yeah, 20 pounds today. Geez, in a month, you'll be doing 40 pounds and you'll be feeling better than ever, right? Constantly using that future language. So that's kind of through that whole workout or trial experience. And then towards the end, you want to start to create, again, the urgency and scarcity of what they're doing and ask for the sale or ask for the conversion to a member or whatever, your offer is. So you can do that by creating a sense of urgency. So just talking to them about the schedule, making sure that they know that, they can't just show up whenever they want. Maybe you have limited sessions. So if it's a 9 a.m., be like, oh, hey, does this 9 a.m. time work for you? I know we have a few spots left. I want to make sure that we'd be able to get you in. If you have some sort of offer that you're running, so a lot of times we're running an offer or a challenge, I would have, maybe a sign up list, and I would have only 3 spots left where they can see the signatures of everybody else. And I would be like, hey, I know you came in about this challenge. Just want to know if you're interested. We have 3 spots left. If you want to do it, just sign here and you can grab that, 17th spot or whatever. So that's a way to kind of manufacture a little more scarcity and urgency to take action now. And there's social proof that there's 17 other people that have been there. And, we've kind of fudged this a little bit or gotten people to, go through this process where we didn't have a huge amount of scarcity, but that is a way to generate that for your business. Now, the last thing is to ask for the sale and do your absolute best not to let them leave without a decision. All right. So there's 3 types of decisions that you can make. There's a yes, there's a no, and there's a future follow-up that is scheduled. A yes is easy. Hey, does this time work for you? I could get you set up. We talked about the price, which we talked about. We could lock you in for Tuesday, Thursdays at 9 a.m. Does that sound good? That's an easy yes, right? The next thing is a future follow-up. If they're like, yeah, I want to talk to my husband about it, or I want to think about it, can I let you know? You want to make sure that they don't leave without a set follow-up scheduled, right? If you leave it open-ended, it's very unlikely that they're going to convert. And you're just going to have this person floating out into the wind that you don't know what's going on. You want to control you want to maintain as much control over the frame and your people as possible. So instead of just saying yeah, just let me know, you would say, awesome, I got a really crazy week. Do you mind if I hit you up tomorrow around 3 p.m. and see what the best fit is for you? Or if it's not going to work, you can just let me know then too. Does that sound good? So now it's a follow-up that's on a schedule and I can collect either a yes or a no from them. All right. And at that point, you could also, try to last ditch effort, get them in for discount or something, some short-term offer to get them in the door. Now, the final thing is an objection. So if they give you an objection like cost or schedule, or, they need to think it over, the important thing is you've got a response already teed up for them. Now, I want to end this with a story about objections and how you can go about this in the future. So I grew up playing baseball. My whole goal, my whole life was to play in college. I wanted to play D1. I didn't. But when I was in high school, you could stop me any day of the week and know what my batting average was because I tracked it every single day. I also knew what pitches I was really good at hitting and which I wasn't good at hitting. Now, in high school, pitchers generally had 4 pitches. They had a fastball, changeup, slider, and a curveball. That was pretty much it. And I was terrible at hitting curveballs. I was a fastball hitter. I was a power hitter, but I would just whiff on curveballs a lot. That's why I didn't play D1 baseball. But I also knew that I needed to work on the curveball because I would always swing and miss at the curveball. So it wasn't like every game I would strike out and be like, dang, curveball got me again. Like, better luck next time, right? I would say, damn, I struck out on the curveball. I'm going to go and just fucking drill hitting a curveball until I get better at it. So I would go to the cage. I would learn at reading the pitch out of the pitcher's hands. I would work on, some of those fancy pitching machines that sent you curveballs, and I would drill hitting the curveball because I knew it was one of 4 pitches: fastball, changeup, slider, curveball. Your prospect has one of 3 objections: price, schedule, think it over. Price, schedule, think it over. What most people do is they take the approach of just hoping that it'll get better next time instead of going to the cage, learning how to read pitches, learning how to wait on a curveball, and getting better at overcoming that pitch or hitting that pitch. I'm mixing a lot of analogies here. So if somebody throws the price thing and you strike out on it, you've got to go home and decide how you're going to reply. So for us, my reply is generally like, hey, that makes sense. Can I just ask you a question? What would you have to get from the program for it to make sense for you? And a lot of times they tell me something that's already included. Like, oh, well, I would need a meal plan and I would want to lose 20 pounds. And I'm like, oh, so if you found that, you think it would be worth it? Great. Because you do have meal plans. I can guarantee you're going to lose 20 pounds over this period of time and X, Y, and Z. That is my overcome. That's what I go to the cage and practice hitting because I know it's coming. Right? So one of those objections is going to come. You might as well go and drill it so you know how to react to it when it does happen. Right? It's not like these things it's a whole new objection every single time. It's only one of 3 or 4 things. So just have your response in your back pocket. If it works, keep doing it. If it doesn't work, go back to the drawing board, change your approach. You can Google objection overcomes or different things to say and just get better at it. And that's as simple as that. So that is our trial process from before the trial all the way through the end in a way that'll guarantee you're converting 75 to 80% of your trials into memberships and blowing up your gym. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you like this content, make sure that you like and subscribe to get more of the content that you want to see about growing your fitness business. You can click any of the videos here to see other episodes, but I want to hear from you. So drop some comments into other content that you would like to see.